To quote BERIC Dondarrion from Season 7's Beyond the Wall while talking about the Night King, "Kill him, he turned them all." But to quote Ralph Fiennes in Hail Caesar, would that it were so simple. The Night King has emerged as the true big bad of Game of Thrones, and while he may not be as interesting a character as someone like Cersei, be still my beating heart, he's the most formidable foe our heroes have ever faced. With one season to go, someone is going to have to take him down. But yeah, he's a 12,000-year-old undead magic javelin gold medalist who now rides an ice dragon, so best of luck with that. That said though, there are a few hardy souls who just might be up to the task. I'm What Culture's Adam Cleary, and these are 9 Game of Thrones characters who could defeat the Night King. But before we begin, why not subscribe to stay notified? Ding, ding, done. Number 9, BERIC Dondarrion. Now, yes, starting with a dude who's only got one eye is an odd opening, but BERIC is a highly skilled warrior. Luckily, the Lightning Lord just so happens to have a bit of magic within him too. And although it is Thoros of Myr who brings him back, BERIC has the Lord of Light on his side. Now, admittedly, I'm no scientist, but it does seem advantageous to have a fire god watching your back when fighting an undead Ice Lord. So, difficult to kill, a good fighter, and has a flaming f***ing sword. Let's just hope he wasn't actually killed at the wall. Number 8, Sandor Clegane. The Hound is one of the most devastating warriors in Westeros. Now, yes, Brienne did hand his arse to him, so there are tougher fighters, but Clegane has something else on his side. We saw the Hound, guided by Thoros, stare into the flames and actually have a vision of the very mountain he'd later end up fighting at. In the finale, meanwhile, he gave a warning to his brother that could be taken as a prophecy.
You know who's coming for you.
He has been kissed by fire, which might mean the Lord of Light sees something in him. Put a Valyrian steel sword in his hand and he'd have at least half a chance, I reckon. Number 7, Samwell Tarly. Okay, so Samwell Tarly is about as far removed from being a great warrior as I am from a breakout season in the NBA, but that's exactly why he's a sneaky bet to take out the Night King. A reason for A Song of Ice and Fire's very existence is because of George R.R. Martin's desire to subvert all the fantasy tropes that followed in the decades after The Lord of the Rings. Jon Snow might be somewhere between Aragorn and Frodo, yes, but Samwell Tarly is pure Samwise Gamgee. What better way to truly subvert it all then than by having him be the one who kills the ultimate evil? Not only would it defy expectations, but there is a precedent for it. Sam's already killed a White Walker and he could know more about how to defeat them than just about anyone else in the realm. Number 6, Jaime Lannister. Once renowned as perhaps the finest swordsman in the Seven Kingdoms, Jaime Lannister hasn't managed to be anything more than passable with his left hand since losing his right. However, Jaime has such a brilliant arc, I mean more so in the books, but the show finally got there in the Season 7 finale, that he should be an endgame contender. After all, what better end for him than to slay another king, but this time get the recognition he deserves. Although the biggest murder in his destiny would appear to be that of Cersei, don't you f***ing dare mate, there's a lot of support for him actually being the prince that was promised. We could even look at his emergence from the lake after the Loot Train battle and subsequent turn against Cersei as being a rebirth amidst smoke and salt. He might also even have Targaryen blood, with one theory suggesting that he and Cersei are actually the Mad King's children. Don't worry if you've not heard that one though, there are Cleary's theories aplenty coming before Season 8. Number 5, Arya Stark. We don't exactly know the rules of the Faceless Men's abilities, but since her taking Walder Frey's face somehow allowed Maisie Williams to fully transform into David Bradley, we can assume they're fairly lax. Which offers up a possibility for the final season, Arya moving silently through the battlefield, disguised as a white, and then taking out the Night King with the cat's paw dagger. There are, admittedly, a lot of obstacles in the way of that though. I mean, A, maybe she can't become a white, B, Valyrian steel might not kill the Night King, and C, he's so powerful and all-knowing he'd probably sense her anyway. But Arya has to have some sort of importance to the endgame as she's one of the original 5 characters Martin said would survive. Plus, she's got that sick Valyrian steel dagger with her, as well as being a badass fighter / assassin, and there's surely greater purpose to all that beyond Littlefinger's execution. Number 4, Daenerys and Drogon. A queen from the south versus a king from the far north. Fire versus ice. Living dragon versus undead dragon. There is a lot of symmetry in a showdown between Daenerys and the Night King, with the former presented as one of the main heroes and the latter the overarching villain. There's also a lot to support the theory that Dany being the prince/princess that was promised, as she's ticked all the boxes so far, and Drogon could well represent her Lightbringer. If that hero is to return and save the world from darkness, then Dany is one of the absolute strongest bets. Even putting those theories aside, although I do really like doing them, Daenerys is someone who potentially has the means to take the Night King down. I mean, after all, 2 dragons are better than 1, and she is extremely invested in the fight against him after he killed one of her children. Number 3, Bran Stark. Bran is something of a wildcard amongst the remaining heroes. As the new Three-Eyed Raven, his green-seeing abilities have already allowed him to witness the White Walkers' march towards the Wall, as well as having visions of the past and even melding timelines together by, well, I still don't want to talk about it. We've also established some sort of connection between Bran and the Night King, with the suggestion that the villain is also a powerful greenseer. If Bran's powers continue to grow, then he might be able to defeat the Night King in a mental battle rather than a physical one, which would be an interesting wrinkle for a series where so many conflicts are resolved with swords. Oh, and yeah, TV editor James Hunt has asked me to state in no uncertain terms that Bran is not the Night King, and I'm not allowed to mention it in any more videos. He might be, though. Number 2, Jon Snow. More than anyone else, even Daenerys, Game of Thrones is Jon's story. Jon's place in the story has been seeded since the very beginning and was really cemented with his return from the afterlife. It freed him from his vows to the Night's Watch and imbued him with a singular focus on fighting the armies of the dead. Furthermore, a showdown between Jon and the Night King has been a long time coming. Both Hardhome and Beyond the Wall had the former Lord Commander staring down the leader of the dead, and if it has to come down to just 2 characters, it must surely be these 2. Jon is arguably the greatest warrior in Westeros anyway, and one with a Valyrian steel sword who has already defeated White Walkers in combat. He's a good choice to be Azor Ahai too, and all the character work, plot setup and prophecies point to him being the one to defeat the Night King. The only reason he might not is the thinking that it would be too obvious, but Jon has earned his shot. And number 1, nobody. No, not another one of the Faceless Men, but instead the idea that the White Walkers are, victorious. All men must die, and women, and children, and dragons, and pretty much every other living thing in Westeros. Death comes for them all. It's the first enemy, and the last, and they can never defeat it. So maybe the Night King wins, and Westeros really is destroyed. It's hard to know where Martin's idea of the ending being bittersweet comes in here, but it would certainly subvert those old genre tropes to see our heroes fail and die. Hey, maybe when it's all said and done, the direwolves can re-emerge and rule the land, which sounds lovely actually, although it means the showrunners would have to remember that Ghost exists. Well done, you made it all the way to the end of the video. Now, I'm not just here to increase our market share with women aged 18 to 35, but to tell you to watch one of these other videos we've made that are probably quite good. So, go on, off you. That one or that one, they're both good. There you go.